everybody, and welcome to another edition of The Flow. You know what, Katie?
And I'm Katie Fawkes.
Oh, yeah.
I'm finally back.
I'm supposed to, who are you? Who the heck is this lady? And what the heck you doing, Katie? I was supposed to say I'm Doc Rocky, community manager here at Ecamm Live, and we already know who the missing person is. Now I can call the milk box company and tell them to take your face off.
I know. Thank you so much to Doc for holding down the fort. I was like, I can do this. I can move and run a big sale and all the things, and also podcast. And it was not true. So sometimes it's good to have a co-host who can cover your back. But I'm excited to be back.
This is where the episode that Jared and I talked about, which is 2 episodes ago, which is why pod swaps is actually pretty handy because if something comes up, like the last 2 Tuesdays of the year, I'm going to be in Japan. And then so it's a good opportunity to do a pod swap. It's a good opportunity to call on somebody like Mary Lou and Kirk, or somebody like you guys be Doc and Katie or whatever, because we're gone.
Yeah, exactly.
Ecamm is closed the last week of the year, people. All right, nobody call us. Break everything now so we can help you before. Anyway, so the thing that's really, really cool, Katie, is this episode, our podcast is old enough to drive. I guess we're going to be 18.
Sweet, go us. Old enough to drink in Canada, parts of Canada,
not in the U.S.
Not in the U.S.
It's funny how it seems like that's a daunting task if you tell somebody when they first start, like, you're going to be 18 episodes in no time. By the time we're done with the year, we'll be at 22 episodes. We're going to end the year on my number.
It goes by so fast. And every single episode, I leave kind of being like, oh, I learned these 4 things. I'm filled with such excitement. It was so much fun. I was in this space where I've been obsessed with listening to podcasts while I'm packing and moving and doing all of the stuff. I have like my, AirPods in, walking around listening to podcasts. And I love that podcasters are always like, we're coming to you from the pod lab. And I was like, oh man, I'm back in the pod lab today. Today, the studio is the pod lab because it's fun to say.
It's fun to say. I like it. And well, I think a lot of people don't understand, they say, okay, I want to start this podcast, but I'm not an expert or whatever. Good. That's exactly why to start the podcast. Because the questions that you have, you interview the people with the answers, right? You bring in the community members with the answers, and you will learn something as well. And what's crazy about that is while you're in that process, you are learning as well as creating. And there's a whole bunch of people that are exactly what you are, but are too proud to ask that question, right? Like when it comes to questions and it comes to whatever industry you're in, you want to be TLC. You ain't too proud to beg. So, but a lot of people, they won't do it because they've been told by everybody else that they have to look like an expert.
You have to look smart.
Be a certain way. And that's not really the case. So coming in, hey, everybody, I don't know how to do any of this. Come with me. Let's do it. It's a fantastic journey. I say this all the time. The Follow Me journey is one of the biggest things popping on YouTube, but somehow nobody seems to pay attention to that. And it helps. So we're going to talk about what today, Katie? What did you put in store for me?
Today, we are talking about how to promote your podcast. All things podcast promotion. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Are you ready for this?
That is a good one. It turns out that's the biggest question whenever we do shows, or, for as long as I've been in podcasting, which is back like 2004 when you had to hand code this stuff. That was a question. That's always been the question. It probably will always be the question. So let's answer it.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, okay, we've built it. Now will they come? And how do we get them to come, right? And once you have people, how do you get more people? I think it's always going to be a question. And disclaimer, in the way that Doc just brilliantly phrased how, you should always be learning and growing and not kind of afraid to just start, even if you don't know all of the things. We don't know all of the things about podcast promotion. We're testing and trying. Doc knows all the things. I don't know all the things about podcast promotion. But I think it's an iterative process. It's a process where you're going to test and try things. And again, you should be following and listening to and engaging with other podcasts that are in your topic out of your topic, because you're going to find some amazing ideas and you're going to see people doing things that you're like, oh, that could work for my audience. That could be a really cool, promotional idea or, cool marketing thing that I could try. So I'm constantly learning from other live streams and other podcasts. I think it's a really great thing to just test it out and see if it works for you.
Okay. So what's the first question, Katie? Let's pop it. Let's jump right in.
How do podcasts get promoted? We're going to start at the beginning, the very beginning.
Okay. All right. Well, they don't. Let's just start right there. They absolutely don't, unless you put in some groundwork. And I think this is where a lot of people drop the ball. Unless you actually put in some groundwork, it doesn't get promoted. No one's going to know about you or see you or do whatever. Now, the funny part is, I think people think just by putting it in a directory, that's going to work. If you count the amount of businesses back in the day, when you first start your business, you would go into your local, establishment, and you fill out the paperwork, and they'd give you a tax license. If your business had a physical location, within about 3 days, I swear to you, the Yellow Pages person would be, hey man, have you ever thought about getting and adding up? How the hell do you know I just started a business? Like, they was quick, right? Because they were somehow, through Cardinal Mail Services or some other thing, they somehow knew that you just got registered for a business. So the Yellow Pages people would show up. The best thing about the internet is the Yellow Pages people went away. But they used to come to your door and ask you to buy Yellow Page ads. They're legit people back in the day who thought they could just put in, AAA exterminators in front of the Yellow Pages, and all of a sudden everybody with bugs was going to call them. It doesn't work. It just legit doesn't work. I got a question for you. Here's one. I'll throw it back at you. Have you ever seen a number on the side of a vehicle and remembered to call that number when you needed whatever they were serving in that vehicle?
No.
Not a once.
Not a once.
Yo, I am like 5,100 years old, and I have never pulled a number off of a vehicle and thought, I'm going to call this plumber, exterminator, tree cutter, lawyer.
Although, what I will say, though, which is probably where you're going anyway, is I will say that I am like constantly consuming all of that content that's around me. So like, we have plumbers in our city, and they drive their little trucks, vans, whatever they are constantly like driving around the city. So the second that I think of plumbers, like, I can see their logo, I know their name. So like, I could find them, even though I would never have their phone number memorized, and they have it on the side of their van. But the second I'm like, I need a plumber, I'm like, oh yeah, those guys that are constantly in our city, they must be popular because they're constantly driving around. So when you're thinking about podcast promotion, or you're thinking about promotion in general, you need to be all the places. And even if you put your email and your number and your volley and your whatever else, they may not find you that way or click through on that link, but showing up consistently in front of them is going to help.
So you kind of covered what I was going to say. I want you to think of the number as come listen to my podcast at the end of all of the places that you put it. The link to your podcast at the end of the place is all you put it. Stop that. It doesn't work. Okay. It just doesn't work. No one found your podcast because at the end of everything, you're like, hey, da 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 da. And normally what happens is it's either too fast or it's too long. And so neither one of them work. If it's too fast, they can't read it. They miss it. There's a frustration there. You don't realize it, but you put a tiny frustration in someone's head, they kind of let everything else go. And they don't even know they do it. It's just the way the brain works.
Yep.
If you leave it too long, they get irritated that you stop them from the next piece of content that they were going to, if they're on, Fever Scroll or Autoplay or something of that nature, right? For instance, like MSNBC News at the end, their out bumper on YouTube is way too long, and it irritates me because I want to hear what they got to say. But when they're done, I'm ready to go to the next one. But they got the whole dun 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 dun. You almost think it's over. Dun, 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 dun. There's a couple more, and it's like, please stop. Please just make it short. Be like, thank you for watching us on YouTube. Peace. Boom. Out. Like, make it quick. So, what you want to do is you want to do what Katie says. You want your vehicle to be seen everywhere. You want that. If they took the space that takes up a number, and in most people's vans or whatever, it's roughly about 4 inches tall and like the width of the vehicle. If you remove that and just made the logo bigger, or made it something else stick in their brain, like a funny saying or whatever, that would probably work much better than your number and your website. Some people got their number, their website. Many states make you put the license. So put the license nondescript because nobody reads it. Nobody cares. The state says it has to be there. Just put it there. But what you would do is if you go to a platform, say like IG or LinkedIn, and this is something that we got to do. So I can just tell you this is what's going to happen.
We are not perfect or ready yet to do all of the promotion. We're learning as we go.
Nor should you. Nor should you. I feel that by the end of the year, when we're at episode 22, and then soon after we come back, we'll be at 25. Now I think it's time to hardcore going on the promoting. What I think a lot of people want to do is have 2 episodes and promote, and you're not there yet, right? The murder podcast.
People can't binge listen. Yeah.
Right. They have a vehicle behind them. Right. You don't have enough content or SEO or whatever in order to let that happen. So it's not going to really work. And I tell people all the time, if I did exactly what you said, and I called Oprah and I was like, yo, Katie wants you to send like 2 million people to her podcast. She was like, yeah, doc, you get some listeners. Everybody gets some listeners. So Oprah would send everybody to your podcast and they would listen to it and be like, what the was that? And there's no more because you have nothing for them. So the worst thing you can do, and everyone's been in this situation, everyone's been in the line where they were giving out the free smoothies or whatever, and then they get to you and there ain't no more. Right? Or you got it and it was like one little spoon of something and you like, all right, that doesn't entice me to buy more. That kind of pees me off, right? At least at Jamba Juice, when they give you a sample, it's a decent size sample. And I think that mentality of everyone's like, oh, I'm gonna just let them, and they're gonna want it. Now, I don't think that really works either, right? And you have probably been more frustrated by the sample size. So don't ask everybody to come to your house and you ain't got, horse de veurs ready. If you don't have the charcuterie board done up, don't invite people to your house.
Yeah.
So don't be in a hurry. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Right. Nailed it. I think it's one of those things that you should absolutely be thinking about because, as you said, it doesn't go by itself, but have a plan, and you don't need to do all 55 things on your plan within the first 3 days of launching your podcast. Space it out. You've got this. You'll get there.
Man, I like it. I'm going to type it in the things I remember. Okay. What's the Sugino koto ga Sugino shitsumon wa nan desu ka? I'm practicing for my trip. I said, next question.
Next question. That's going to make this script so difficult. I'm going to be like, it's going to be a jumble of words. I'm not going to know what it is.
I forgot about that. Sorry.
Where should I promote my podcast?
I'm just trying to think of what kind of words the script is going to write for that.
Every time that you speak Japanese, I'm like, wait a sec. What is he trying to say? Because sometimes I'm listening and sometimes I'm just reading. It's too funny.
Oh, that's super funny. Okay, where should you promote your podcast? Everywhere, but with taste. Okay, so again, screaming come to see my podcast doesn't work. There's a new conversation moving around in the marketing world, and marketers are going to hate it, but it is stop selling yours. Yes, that is a new conversation in the marketing space, is stop selling your stuff.
Yep.
Because that's not how people trigger buy anymore. People trigger by the way they always triggered by, but it's just, we think it's different, but technically it's the same. It just takes longer. So in our world tour, one of the things in our speech is that it takes, when I was in B school, I learned it takes 7 touch points before somebody makes a purchasing decision from you. And it's not just I played you an ad 7 times. It's I interacted with you.
No, yeah. It's in all different places. Yeah.
Right. Interacted, sent an email, had a conversation, said what's up at the Piggly Wiggly, like whatever. Like that there's about 7 different touch points that happens. And that was hard. But the new answer is 11 to 13. So you need more touch points. And so, as I said yesterday, Silver Lining Home Place, I like to say home plate, and it probably drives her crazy. Dina and I had this fantastic conversation, and we were talking about, well, how do you do that in Reels? Because right now, for her and I in Reels, we're just having fun. We're just putting up our stuff, but we know we have to get on point. And I'm like, so my strategy is going to be as I'm moving forward. I've done the fun part. I've kind of figured things out, learned what works and what doesn't. Now I can go into my strategy, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be like 3 for them and 1 for me. And then eventually that'll turn into like 5 for them and 1 for me. And what do I mean by that? One, where you're just being yourself, having fun, letting the people know who you are. The number one thing that most marketers forget is you're not giving people to have the opportunity to learn who you are. And I mean the actual you, not the suit and tie, buttoned up, whatever you. One of our dearest influencers, somebody that I absolutely love, she's super funny, hilarious. She was a great speaker. We had a chance to physically meet her in San Diego, and that's Millie. The Modern Millie is, the name of the thing. And she goes, hey, Amesbury, it's lunchtime. Me and Luis probably just had a nostalgia moment. And I know.
Put down your sandwiches. All done.
Wait, no, he's thinking about that ham and manchego right now. So Luis just started drooling all over his keyboard. Millie, she's a beauty influencer, right? But then she turned it into a like how to be an influencer, and like she's teaching people how to run real strategy and things like that. Millie comes from being the beauty influencer, but she would go on IG, no makeup, whatever, and just be like, hey, this was too important to stop and do all my stuff to look cute for you. And then she's like, well, I'm going to spit out 4 pieces of content while I'm putting on the makeup and talking to you. So you're like, hey, so as you're working on your Instagram reels, like, I don't know what all those things are called. I know that they're on my table in the bathroom. I just don't know what they are. But she's over there and she's doing all of the things and she's telling you about a real strategy while she's getting ready for the day. Because when people see that somebody who came from the beauty influencer world, who always looks great on camera, who's always well put together, well presented, and she's going to come in here like wrecked up from the neck up and tell you the same thing, they trust that person more because you're not hiding behind a facade. One of my biggest arguments, I'm not allowed to say this I'm not allowed to say this on the stream next to my boss, but I have no filter, so here it comes. One of my biggest pet peeves in the Ecamm community is I am trying to do this because I want to have a professional looking podcast, or I want to look professional. And my answer is always the same, and it pisses people off, and I do not care. Stop trying to look professional. Just be professional.
Yeah, just be professional. And that can mean completely different things for everyone. Like that can mean a completely different thing for you, for me, for Ken and Glenn, for all of our people listening. Like it depends on what you do and what your content is about and who you are. But yeah, I think authentic is much more important than professional.
100%. 100%.
I agree with you.
Most people would never expect to see Ken and Glenn just like hanging out in their jeans and t-shirts and also pulling out their laptop to write a new version of Ecamm in the middle of a damn event.
Oh yeah. 100%. Or in the middle of a stream. Yeah.
They would just stop anywhere and be like, oh, hold on. What are you doing? I'm making video ISO. We're eating dinner. That's professional to me, right? Coming in and saying we're great coders and parading around in Cody nerd shirts, whatever. They don't even wear Ecamm gear no matter how much we yell at them. It's always SpaceX. And I'm like, damn it, you got to wear the Ecamm.
Or Tesla.
Or Tesla, exactly. Right. So it's funny, but they're actually being professional. We all know this because we use the software. They don't go around and have to parade how cool they are as coders.
Yeah.
That never comes out. You never even see them. If it wasn't for us forcing them to do a Q&A, you would know who the hell Ken and Glenn was.
Yeah. And it's the same thing for Pat Flynn, who I know I use constantly as an example, but Pat Flynn is another amazing example of this, right? Pat Flynn loves Back to the Future. Loves Back to the Future. Pat's got tons of Back to the Future stuff in the background of his streams and his videos and everything he does. His fans send him Back to the Future stuff. When they see something, they think of him. When they see, one of the Back to the Future cars, they're like, oh my God, it connects them with him, right? I'm the same way with bowling pins and chickens and other, people know that aspect about me. And it's like not a big deal for me to share that. Like it doesn't make me feel like I'm less professional or less whatever else, but it lets people understand a little bit more about me and the things that I'm excited about. And then it forms that connection back and forth. Right. So yeah, I think it's super important. And I want to say before I forget, because I'm going to forget afterwards, but I really wanted I was thinking of this as we were prepping this topic. And so shout out to some of my very close friends who just, they were like, I'm going to start a podcast. And I was like, okay. And they asked for a bunch of advice and I gave them the best advice I could. And I figured they would be like other friends who have said, we're going to start a podcast. And then like, months go by and nothing actually happens. These two just like launched their podcast. And not only did they launch their podcast, but they like opened up their Instagram channel. They've been just like doing the thing. Right. But what I will say, which I think is really good advice from watching them that I can give to everyone here, is that they weren't afraid or overthinking it about leveraging their network, right? So like on their personal Instagram, on their personal Twitter, on their Facebook, they're like, we started a podcast. We're so excited about that. This is a sports podcast. I am like the least sporty person other than like watching hockey. I'm like not a sports person, right? But I'm just so excited for them and their excitement comes through that I'm like, I am interacting with their posts and sharing their stuff because I'm just so like happy and excited for them. So maybe I'm never going to be like a forever listener where I'm like completely engaged with all of their content because it doesn't relate to me. But I have a huge network and chances are tons of people within my network are going to see me sharing this, see me liking their posts, see me commenting, hear me celebrating them. And it was a little thing like that where, and they're not overdoing it. Like you said, it's a good mix of, it's a post here and there, but like as important things happen, important milestones with their brand new podcast, they're sharing it and they're letting people know like, hey, we just opened this Instagram. We're going to share, stuff about it over here. Hey, we're really looking for reviews, friends and family. If you could check out the episode and let us know and leave a review, that would be really helpful. They're starting with their network. And I think that's the most important place that you can start past platforms. Don't think about the where so much as who. Who is it that you know? Who do they know? Yeah. Like, who can you ask for help to get yourself up and running? Like, who are your people that can help you spread the word? And they may not, like me, they may not actually love the topic that you're doing, but it doesn't mean that they can't help you promote and help you spread the word and get that content out there.
100%. And here's something that's really cool. If you go to someone and says, look, guys, I know you guys aren't nerdy like me, but I'm starting a brand new Stranger Things podcast because we got something to talk about. Please, if you know anybody who's into Stranger Things or whatever, send them my way because that way they don't have to talk to you about it. You can talk to me. Right?
Exactly.
So just go ahead and bump them on me, whatever. And people will help you like, because they really do. They do want to see you succeed. I think what people used to do is hide their creator persona from their friends. Mm-hmm. Because their friends are going to try to talk you out of it.
Yep.
The way you get your friends not to talk you out of it is tell them from a place of sincerity how much it means to you, and then they won't do that. If you let them know, like I was hiding my YouTube channel thing for a while because I don't know, everybody here knows me as the DJ guy, and I could do a venue here and, get anywhere from 3, to 10,000 people to show up at an event. And then do a video on YouTube and like 4 people watch it. So I thought it was going to mess up my steez. You'd be surprised. I'm walking around town and people are like, oh, I heard you're doing this whole YouTube thing now. Yeah, like, man, I didn't know you had a YouTube channel. And I'm like, what? They go, yeah, I would have watched that a long time. Oh.
Yeah. You're just like, that's more powerful because you already have a connection and you can leverage your network versus shouting into the void in a space where no one knows who you are. You don't have the numbers, behind you yet. So that's probably the best thing to do, in my opinion, anyway, while you are building your episodes. Yeah. So like use that as your starting point. Don't harass your network to death. But I think posting here and there, especially as those kind of fun moments was like, we made it to episode 8, we did it, whatever. Like it's that kind of stuff people want to celebrate with you. And if you're excited and you're sharing that with them, I think it's not a sell. It's not a sell to your friends, right? Or your network. It's you're just being excited and happy and sharing something with them.
So in that vein, using us as an example, what we would do instead of just going to IG or LinkedIn and say, hey, listen to the flow, because it doesn't work. We can be like, anybody here start a brand new podcast at the beginning of the year? Here are 3 things that I wish I knew before I started my podcast. And you go bang, 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 bang. Always normalize and adjust your audio at the end. We use Auphonic. There's Alito. There's built-in stuff in the Buzzsprout. There's so forth, so on, etc. You put that down in the list. The next day, you could be like, make sure you get your artwork at the right size. It needs to be 3,000 by 3,000. I know it sounds crazy. I know it's very specific, but it is, because I've saw the thumbnails when I was using less than that, and it's so blurry, nobody can read it. So it's simple as pie. It's an easy step, but and we use Canva, by the way. And so, yeah, if you like to check it out, if you go to flow.ecamm.com, you can see how well our thumbnails work on all your devices. You're not saying listen, but you tell them to go, right? And they're probably going to check it out because they want to make sure they don't screw up, because our audience is other podcasters. So let's just cover that, right? If your audience is something different, you have to have the ability in your brain to adjust this to you.
And you'll probably have to tell them 10 more times, right? Like 11 times, right? So in different places, like you'll share those pro tips on your LinkedIn. And then in a couple more days, you'll share a behind the scenes photo of you recording your podcast on Facebook with whatever you're like, oh, it's so fun. Like I'm enjoying myself and really enjoying it. Like you have to think about the platform and you have to think about the piece of content that works there, but you're going to have to, it's the same hidden message behind all of those posts. Listen to my podcast, but it's phrased in the ways that suit the platform, right?
It's the phrase that pays here today on WKIK. Sorry, I just went old school. The other thing that you can do, and I was talking to Dina about this, what is got in my head for the longest time is I would always get irritated at the marketers on Twitter who would send the same tweet 5 times a day. And I realized it's because I was on Twitter like that. So I would see it all 5 times. But the average person isn't like that, so they don't see it. And then I realized if I look at, either Jeff C or Jim Fuse, like when they tag me in a podcast from like the podcast episode we did like a year ago, it's still people follow it, retweet it, and I get followers from it. So I'm sitting here like used to get mad at those people, but I'm growing my Twitter osmosisly because of they're reminding people, because not everybody sees it. So just like McDonald's told us every day, like 7, 8, 9 times a day during the 80s, that you deserve a break today.
You deserve a break today. Yeah.
And now you're loving it. You can have that. You can put that out there. And if the people that are going to get mad at that are going to tune you out, and they're never going to be your customers anyway. So stop thinking that everybody is your listener, because if your listener is everybody, your listener is nobody. You are talking specifically to Katie Fawkes, lives in New England, got blanket, red wine, book, chickens, murder podcast, 2 kids, and extremely smart husband. That's it. That's who you're talking to. So every other version of Katie, that's your audience, right? I don't fit none of that. You're not trying to reach me. So don't talk to me, right? It's like, I know you guys are listening to my podcast, but now I got this new bottle of wine and this new blanket. Tell me 3 podcasts I should be listening to that I'm not hearing yet. And now you know that. So let me call these other podcasters. I know my audience like them. And let's say, hey, you don't know me, but my audience loves your podcast. How would you like to do a pod swap or trailer swap, an ad swap? You host mine, I host yours, whatever.
All right. So before we forget, because the question was what platform? So I think we answered, but just to be super clear with everyone. So any and all of the social platforms. So, but again, try to keep it to the voice of the platform. So if you're on LinkedIn, it's more like pro tips, businessy, it's helpful information that could help a professional network versus Instagram versus, right? Like think about the platform you're on. Twitter, you might want to post multiple times to hit different time zones that, the feed is constantly updating. So be thinking through that. So any social platforms, other podcasts, which you just said, which I think is brilliant. The amount of people that get their podcast, discovered by just being a guest or doing a pod swap on a similar podcast is huge. So again, think through your network. Community spaces. So, whether that's Discord, Facebook groups, any spaces where there's a like-minded community that your audience listens to is going to be absolutely a good place to, to be spending time in letting, in a non-obnoxious, non-salesy way, letting people know about your podcast. Newsletters. So like, if you send a newsletter for your business, is a great place to say, hey, we now have this podcast, you're able to listen to it, embedding your podcast episodes into blog posts. So, I mean, really, like anywhere that you can put content or that people are, you can be starting to talk about that. And that could be something like leveraging your existing personal channels and or business channels to say, hey, this exists now. Or it could be starting new channels that are specific to your podcast. It might be like what we're doing, where we started on the Ecamm business channels, but we will eventually grow out and have the flow specific social channels. You got to think that aspect of it through. But there are lots of different places that you can put content, but you need to be thinking through frequency, what you're saying, what kind of content you're putting out should match the voice of the channel and the audience that sits there. If you just dupe it across all the different channels, you're going to annoy everyone and you're not going to win. So you need to think that through.
Dang, there you go. It's funny because it's a lot, but I just don't think people really understand that,
And I screwed up. Like, even just talking right now, I am in the back of my mind thinking, there are days where I post, like today, I'm like, oh shoot, the morning got away from me. It was like way too busy. I wanted to do like a little behind the scenes video saying how excited I was that I'm back, and really excited to be back. And I ran out of time. So I'm probably going to do a follow up later, but I just posted on my Facebook and my LinkedIn, the same message that's like, hey, I'm back. If you want to be in this live studio audience, come join me. That's not the best. I know that I could do differently and better to get a wider audience, but that's better than me not doing anything at all. And I'm, so don't be afraid of like, if that's where you need to start there and see how it goes. Like, and, test it. If you see people not responding to it or it doesn't work or it's cheesing people off, back off and try something different. But I think getting something out is better than not doing anything at all. And being aware of like, oh, I could do this better or this differently next time will go a long way as well. So
here's a cool way you could do that and basically have the exact same message, right? And it's like, everybody and their mother is starting a podcast, and maybe you're thinking about doing the same thing too. I record a podcast live every Tuesday, and trust you me, you see the ducks on the top, but underneath the bottom, the feet are moving like 100 miles an hour. So if you're ever wondering like what's the word? How frenetic creating a podcast live could be, come and check us out live on Tuesdays and you'll see it's not as polished as it looks in the end. And I think you'll get a kick out of knowing that you should start yours because everybody's looked like this behind the wall. You know what I mean? Like, that's the same story. You're telling them to come to the live stream, but you're telling them from a position that they can relate to, that this is nervous and frenetic and camera shy and whatever. And it's like, yeah, if you're feeling uncomfortable about starting your podcast because you feel like you're camera shy, dope. I will show you camera shy in real life every Tuesday at 12. Come and see. And then they'll be like, what? Everybody loves a train crash or an auto wreck, right? Like, you on the freeway, so yeah, just come invite them to see the wreck up. Yeah, you covered it. You covered it so well. I don't want to add anything to that.
Next question.
Yeah, next question. Next question.
Should I pay for promotion? And probably follow up we don't have here, but like, if so, when? When should I start paying to do some promotion?
As soon as you can viably afford it, but there's a caveat to this. I think of something like the new Wonder Woman 84, or like Tenet. They threw $200 million at that boy. And people went on the first and second day. And everybody that went on the first and second day was, do not, unless you just want popcorn and quiet for an hour and a half, do not watch that. Okay. When it comes out on HBO, don't watch it. Like, do not click it. Don't pass go. Do not collect $200. And unless you just want to stir a gal, just not even worth your energy. Right. So $200 million down the freaking tubes. Right. Like, after you adjust for inflation or whatever, they estimated lost $100 million on that flick. right? Same with Tenet. That was another one this year that was absolute rubbish. And I mean, your favorite team hyped up this new player that was going to come in and change the game. It was going to be like Oli the goalie, but in Boston, and flop. So you don't want to hype up unless you are ready. And I know everybody wants to jump the gun because they think it's going to work. Again, if I could send you 2 million people to your show today, how you confidently ask yourself how many people are going to stay?
30.
Right? I can say right now, if I send
I'd be thrilled if 30 people stayed, to be totally clear with everyone listening.
I honestly don't think we're going to get like 100 people to stay because we're not there yet. We will be, and it will get there, and it's going to be funny because the Morbid Girls are my favorite example of this. Because if you listen to their podcast today, I want you to do yourself a favor, whether you like true crime podcasts or not, but they're a perfect example.
Yeah.
Listen to Alina Guy's podcast today, and then in your podcast aggregator, there's a button that says flip the episodes to the earliest one, and listen to that first train wreck from, I think they were at Alina's house.
Yeah, I think so. And they joke about it all the time that they're underwater. But you know what? So I came to that show later, and I will say a bit of it is like what you said, where they grew really quickly. But by the time that a lot of people jumped on, and certainly when I jumped on, they had this like bingeable catalog of episodes, right? So it was like I'm like, maybe I'm the opposite of a lot of people, but I started with like the newest episode and just went backwards because I was like, hey, why not? It's problematic when they do 2-parter episodes, but in general went backward. But I was happy to listen all the way to it. And by the time that I got to those older episodes, I already loved them. So I was like, whatever, it's fun.
Right. And so it's endearing.
Yeah.
Right. It's like watching your friends F up. Like
yeah,
legit.
Exactly. Right. And even now, like when they do episodes where I'm like, oh, okay, whatever, I don't want to listen to that topic, or I'm not into, like, I either make that decision or I don't. But, I think, like you said, I think you want to have probably, I don't know if we want to give a number to it, but I would say like 15 or 20 episodes before you start investing anything financially into it, just so that you have, like, if you do catch a decent amount of people and bring them on over, there's more than a couple of episodes for them to dive into, right? Because people like to binge a podcast, right? They don't want to wait. So if there's, you need probably at least a few of them for them to sink into to really get to know you better. So
everybody has gotten to a point where a podcast is over or a show is over, and then now you're frustrated because there's no more.
Yeah. And then you peace out and find a different show, right? Like you're like more like this, and you're like, okay, this next show. But I do think I think that that's important. And I will say, as you're thinking through, like, once you hit that point and you want to invest in some way, remember that investing doesn't necessarily only mean advertising on the social platforms, or like there are lots of other different options. So again, my friends who are like gun ho into the world of podcasting with their sports podcast, they're doing, they're still fairly new. They only have a few episodes out there, and they basically bought a $50 gift card to Amazon, and they're like, hey, we're doing a giveaway for the holidays. If you, like and share this post, or leave us, reviews, or they have like, different things that you can do to win, that is spending, and that is, advertising, quote unquote, to try to build more listeners, but it's done in a way that is low lift. It's not an insane amount of money. They're not looking to get thousands of listeners off of it, but it'll help them kind of grow and reach, and it'll get some people access. So there are different options for you. So it's not just like, I'm going to go out there and spend $1,000 on Twitter ads. Either, there are options for you to start smaller, to think through different options. You might want to advertise on a similar podcast, build a relationship there. So there are ways that you can approach it that are not just kind of throwing money at the situation, really thinking through strategically what will make the most amount of sense, and maybe slowly building it, like $50 a year, and then work your way up to whatever a larger budget is.
I think where everyone's going to get, sort of blindsided by this is you really have to go and rethink, like, stop selling though. And that's the hard part, because even when you do a promotion, your promotion is not selling. your promotion is maybe promoting a 10-step guide around what your podcast is about. So let's say you're doing a podcast on personal insurance, like property and casualty insurance, as they call it, right? You would be selling a guide on 10 things you didn't know about insurance and like how to save money, and you're going to give that away free. That is a promotion to the podcast. That's a whole different situation from come listen to my podcast where I tell you how to do all of the things, right? And because you have 20 episodes, that guide, the last page of that guide is hot links to all of the episodes or the videos. If you're doing a video podcast, as you should be, record all the time, have those in the PDF, right? Because it's a PDF, right? You're not going to print it. You're going to look at it. So you can press a button and the video plays, right? And if you don't know how to do that, Google it. It's very simple.
You don't know how to do that. We have a guide that just
hey Doc, like how do you put a video in a PDF? I forgot, but you know what? I know how to go. How do you put a video in a PDF? Enter. Oh, just copy the link in, and there's a way to press embed in Acrobat or whatever you use, Canva, all of the above. So you can have that information, and then you're giving out this guide, and this guide is in there. So if I'm going to get this guide about how to step into my power daily, right? And that guide is loaded with info on everything I need, it's in there. Right. So it was funny because, again, I'm going to use her as an example. Yesterday, when I was talking to Dina and we were done talking, I was walking in the house and I had an epiphany. And it's because I called upstairs and I was like, Karen, I'm done talking to Dina. I'm on the way up. Can you reheat the pork belly that I got the day before from the barbecue? No, Rich, it's not as good. It's not as good as Cherry Black's, but hey, it's close. And then Karen, because it's not her thing, she doesn't know what temperatures to reheat what at what. And if you reheat food bad, you ruin it, and then you can't have your leftovers. So I'm like, pop it in the air fryer, set it to 350 for like 15 minutes, and it'll be perfect, right? And then so she's like, okay. So every time I call her and tell her, hey, I'm on the way back, can you reheat this? She always asks me for what is the temperature and the time. And I was like, Dina, you need to make a cheat sheet for what to reheat stuff at. Pizza, 350, 15 minutes, or until you see the cheese bubble. Like chicken wings, air fryer mode, super convection if you got it, blah, blah, blah. Like whatever those numbers are. I'm like, build that cheat sheet for like KFC, whatever. And those are great shorts, by the way, 7-second shorts. People, I know you got to reheat your KFC. Please stop doing it wrong. This is what you want. You want 325 at this and this and let it go slow and it'll be better. So if you know these things, those are like 7-10-second shorts, but at the end, you can put those out in a guide or a little sheet and you're sending that. You put that on IG, you boost that post brings them back to your channel. That's how you promote it. It's not an ad going, hi, I'm Alex Johnson. Please listen to my masterclass. Like, no, Alec is going to kill me for that. But yeah, that's not how you sell it. You sell it by giving the value, and then you promote the post that's giving away the value.
Boom. There you go. I don't have anything to add. I think from start to finish, it's a process. It's going to take testing and trial and error. And you really just need to think through how you can get valuable content from your longer form podcast out there to lure people back to the podcast without hard selling. I think that's my summary of podcast promotion.
Very good. All right, cool. Let's wrap it up then. Guys, this has been another episode of The Flow. It's so excited to have Katie back in action. And as soon as he gets back in action, we're going to run a couple episodes and I'm going to run away. so there.
Now Katie's in charge.
Payback, Kates. Guys, make sure you jump over to flow.ecamm.com and press all of the myriad buttons so that you're listening on your favorite platform. We're everywhere podcasts getting this guy, but flow.ecamm.com is the website if you want to get there. You can also jump on our Volley. It is really, really cool. It allows you to get in, ask questions, get your questions answered back by either ourselves or people in the community. So it's absolutely fantastic. Volley is the new move. And if you want to reach us out that way. Also, just don't forget that you can always send us an email at flow@ecamm.com. This episode and all episodes are sponsored by Speedify, and I can't tell you how dope it is. Speedify has been an amazing thing, and it's actually the gift that my friends and family don't know that they're getting, but I'm buying it for everybody because of the fact it's a fantastic VPN in your phone, which is more and more important nowadays, especially with the traveling. And you can watch Netflix stuff that don't come here. And they be like, hey, how you watching all of these shows? None of your business. Let me show you. So I'm telling everybody to get Speedify as the VPN. Not only the fact that it saves your streams and makes everything incredible, it's like the cheapest VPN out there, and it works. It just works. Slide a button on like Donkey Kong. So we're absolutely in love with Speedify. And last week they posted a whole Instagram thing about me, made me look like a superhero. And I was like, I didn't even know I was good. So big up Speedify.
You will need it. You will at some point or another, you will need it. And you'll be like, thank God I have that. So just trust us that you will need it.
Anybody that saw last week's episode, they saw me completely wreck a live stream because I forgot to hit the Speedify button. No! And Luis was like, at the end, Doc, I'm going to murder you. I'm like, sorry, Luis. Here's the video file. I'm uploading it now. Okay. So, yes. Make sure you get your Speedify on. Thank you guys for just listening to the flow. We'll see you again next week.
See you next week.